Okay, let's start off with Granite County Board of Health, House Bill 702. Impacts on Granite County.
Morning, commissioners.
Morning.
How are y'all doing?
All
Good.
right,
It's just the two of us. I don't know who's online.
Lisa Suba is online, and I just asked her to unmute, and Dr. Khan is working on getting connected.
Perfect. So I'm Jennifer Robinson. I'm the FAP coordinator. I'm just here to give support of what our board members are going to bring.
I'm Mike Clarchick, one of the board members.
yeah, you want to talk into a microphone? I can hear,
Yeah, I can hear it.
I
from
can hear you.
Thanks, Scott.
I am Mike Clarchick, one of the board members.
I'm Jen Robinson. I'm the FAP coordinator for Granite County.
So who wants to lead this off?
I don't even know where to start really with, I've been doing some research on some of the stuff that, and I'm working again over in Anaconda, and there's a big problem, I think, that we have with the House Bill 702. I mean, everybody has probably been talking about it with the mask mandate and the anti-discrimination thing. I don't know where the commissioners stand with that. I've been gone on that trip, so I haven't had a really chance to hear what you guys are thinking as far as what you guys can do with this. But again, I will reiterate that, you know, my opinions as far as having masks. When I'm working, I do wear the masks. We have been seeing an extreme jump in COVID cases and COVID deaths in Anaconda. I'm seeing that the masks are helping. The vaccines are helping. People that are getting vaccinated are having a less severe reaction to the COVID variants that are popping up. 93 to 96%, I believe, of the people that we see in the ER that are being hospitalized are the unvaccinated COVID patients. So as far as that goes, I believe the COVID vaccine is working. Or the Pfizer or the Johnson & Johnson ones that are coming out.
So how does this conflict with 702 then? What's the
How-
problem with 702?
Well, with 702, as I understand the law, you cannot discriminate against an employee or a person wearing a mask, even if they are or are not vaccinated. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer. I believe that, you know, that is our front line as far as defending our community against the COVID. I think I will wear a mask if I'm out in public, or if I have to have close proximity to people. I have been fully vaccinated. I am going to get the COVID booster because I think it does work. With that said, I don't know that our community can mandate the mask wearing and that's where I was talking about the 702. And I think this is gonna probably help everybody, you know.
Well, I don't think we can mandate it because of
Correct.
702,
So-
so.
So we're at a loggerhead as far as what we can do, as far as, as far as limiting the transmission of the COVID virus. To me, it really doesn't make sense because if you look at past history, we had to have polio vaccines, measles, mumps, rubella. That is what that has been proven that it has helped in the past. Why this state mandated or said you don't have to get the vaccine if you don't want want.
One of the reasons I think is because measles and mumps and whatever, you could eradicate those. This you cannot. It is mutating, and it's got I just saw on the news today where the MU mutation variant is in every state, and they're afraid the vaccines don't touch it. So here's what people are saying. Okay, why should I take a vaccine
Right.
when it doesn't work for all these variants? Where the measles and mumps and polio and whatever, it wiped them out basically. You know, they weren't mutating to the extent, so I mean,
Okay.
it did some good.
We understand that, but I think what we're trying to do is in this meeting is that with the COVID cases rising within our state, what we're asking of the board and the commissioners is that last week I brought this to you guys, is that, the 702, we can't there's no discrimination. You can't discriminate somebody, because if they're vaccinated or not. I understand that. But what we're asking of the board and you all is that we want to quarantine the non-vaccinated people to keep them safe in our community. Okay,
What,
so
me?
that's
You say quarantine unvaccinated people?
right, because if you're vaccinated, like in Anaconda, we're not quarantining vaccinated people if they've been in close contact to a positive case. Here, we want to do the same thing, is we would like to quarantine people that are not vaccinated to keep them safe.
Quarantine them when?
When someone tests
When
positive.
somebody's tested positive, the close contacts within 15 minutes, more than 6 feet within a time frame, we want to quarantine them ones that are close contact to them. Now, the people that have been vaccinated, we have not seen where they've been positive at all in our community that's been close contact to them positive. So in Anaconda, we quarantine the close contacts that are not vaccinated.
So how does the MU variant affect that? If the MU variant is not affected by the vaccine?
It does, it has shown that the variants are lessened in severity by the vaccine.
I think Delta, yeah, but I don't think this MU or the Lambda is.
Those are, this is Kira. I mean, the vast majority of the strains in our state and across the country right now is still Delta. Are there other strains out there? Yep, there are. But the goal is to prevent those from getting a foothold and from developing in our communities. And I think that in order to do that, we have to have a strategy so that we don't just let it run rampant through a community and say, well, we can't quarantine because we can't ask about vaccine status. And I think in my mind, it's one of two options. Either we figure out a way to justify quarantining exposed people who are unvaccinated and only quarantining or isolating vaccinated folks if they develop symptoms, or we treat everybody the same and you get quarantined whether you're vaccinated or not. I don't think the solution is we're just not going to quarantine people. Or you're just going to have a huge outbreak. And the community right now in Peaburg, or in Granite County, the last thing I saw was like 35% of people that are eligible are vaccinated. And only about 50% of people who are the highest risk for mortality, folks over 70 and comorbidities, it's only like 50% of those folks who are vaccinated.
So how are we gonna know if they're vaccinated or not?
Well, I think you can't mandate, but how I read that and the document that came out, how I read that was that you can ask them to volunteer their status. You can't require them to volunteer it, but you can ask them to volunteer it.
But we keep bringing up mandate. That just scares the hell out of people. We're sitting here saying mandate, but yet you're just saying volunteer now, but yet we keep bringing up, that's where I get the conflict. seems like if you move ahead even with the volunteer, next thing you know, it's mandate.
Can we summarize 702 one more time so that we totally understand it?
You want me to read it to you?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Let the mic.
I have it somewhere.
Well, I just want to say it's not gonna work in Granite County to
Okay, it says,
quarantine.
I agree.
except as provided in subsection 2 is unlawful discriminatory practice for person or governmental entity to refuse, withhold from, or deny to any person, any local or state services, good, facilities, advantages, privileges, licensing, educational opportunities, healthcare access, or employment opportunities based on the person's vaccination status or the person has an immunity passport. That doesn't get really at the heart of, just quarantining people that are unvaccinated, but yeah, get to the point of, are they gonna tell you if they've been vaccinated or not? So, yeah, you can't discriminate against them for under those circumstances regarding services, good, facilities, healthcare, that's.
And one of the reasons for that too, for that bill, I have a little bit of knowledge about the bill. What about the natural immunity, the ones that have already had COVID and got rid of it, but they aren't vaccinated? So what are you gonna do with those? And how do you know who they are? I mean, there's people out there that have COVID and aren't telling anybody.
Right. we know
Lots
that.
of people. And I happen to know some. Okay,
Right.
because they're taking the test on their own and
So what do you mean? You mean if you get COVID, you're immune?
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
exactly.
Are you?
So.
I
if-
never
Yes.
heard that.
so
Yes,
if
you are.
If you have COVID, you have immunity up to 90 days. That's what the statistics and the stats have shown, up to 90
Up
days.
to 90 days.
Up to 90 days.
So after 90 days, you could get COVID.
No, that's not the way I read it.
Well,
Never heard it. And
There's-
I'm
we
not
can't
I'm not a
debate
doctor. I know, but I watch a lot of news and it's probably lifetime, a certain amount. You got the T cells and some other cells and they stay there forever, basically, like fighting off. It's the antigens, what you'll lose, but you still have these other cells fighting, right? Something like
That's what I believe too, that you will retain some natural defense against the, and Dr. Conway, may verify this also, where, you have some limited immunity. What I've seen too is the people that have had COVID that are seen in the hospital have a less severe case of it, as they do with the vaccine. The vaccine does not last as long in the person as the person who originally got the virus itself. At least that's what I've been seeing. So,
that's the way I understand it too.
So what?
Yeah, I don't know that vaccine is necessarily superior to having had the disease, but
Correct.
neither prevents you from getting it again.
Correct.
And neither prevents you from getting a variant.
Right.
The vaccine is probably the one that's studied the best as far as being able to say down the road, if you get it again, what are your odds of severe COVID as compared to natural immunity from having had it the first go around. And so our data is based primarily on vaccine. And I get it that someone who's had it theoretically has a similar protection to someone who is vaccinated from do you need to quarantine and how do we treat masks and all of those things. But if you can't discriminate based on vaccination status, what I didn't hear in that is that you couldn't offer similar but different strategies. And part of what I'm thinking about is school, of if you're trying to decide, do you have to quarantine a bunch of these kids in school if they get exposed? And what does that mean? I don't know if as you read that, Blaine, if we can then say, well, if you're exposed and unvaccinated, which the vast majority of kids are, then you have the opportunity to do online school for your quarantine time. And if by chance you're vaccinated, you can remain in school.
I think this is plain, I think that can be done. One thing that the board decided last week is they're gonna defer to schools on those policies, and I'm an advocate of that. I mean, I think the school board should be looking at that decision.
Right.
Right.
So the main question, I know we're running out of time because I know you guys are on a tight schedule today, is Kira, what do you think we should do for the close contacts? What would your recommendation be for us tracers for the whole board? What do you guys recommend for us as tracers for the close contacts?
I think if there is no, if the decision based on 702 is that you can't quarantine based on vaccination status, and you can't ask if they're vaccinated, and there is a large percentage, or not, I don't know if it's large percentage, but a significant number of people in the community that either didn't get tested and probably had COVID, or did get tested but haven't confirmed that, then you have to quarantine based on exposure, or you're going to have a disaster. I mean, Delta is a different bug than the last one.
Yeah,
And
but people in Granite County aren't gonna do that. They're not gonna quarantine just because somebody says quarantine. I
So
mean,
you're saying,
you can work with them, you can try to get them to quarantine, you can, I would, I mean, you can use you try to use common sense, but you can't force. And that's,
No, you can't jail them, but I don't know that that's the same as saying don't tell them.
okay, here's just an example. Heidi has COVID. So you're not gonna, I'm just an example. So you're not gonna quarantine. Is that what you're saying?
no, I quarantine.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, is it,
But I do it because that's common sense.
absolutely.
I mean, and some people aren't gonna do it. They're just not gonna do it. I mean, but how are you gonna make them do it?
A lot of
You
people
can't.
can't, because they gotta work.
You can
So-
suggest. and-
Okay, I'm still just confused here. What are we trying to do? Get a mandate to say you have to quarantine? Is that what we're trying to
You
do?
can't.
Or are we saying that, okay, common sense says if you have a positive person in your home that you need to quarantine?
According to 702, we cannot
Yeah, it
match.
should be a recommendation.
Right.
So is that how we want to do it then?
That's the.
Right.
So you
That's
want
all.
us to call up as tracers and say, okay, so say your wife or whatnot has COVID, we're gonna say, okay, Chuck, we're gonna recommend you to be quarantined for 10 days from, the last time you were with your wife, which would probably be this morning. So you have to stay away from your wife for 10 days, so she needs to stay in her own bedroom.
Mhm.
And you need to stay in a different bedroom for 10 days. We're recommending that to you. Is that what
And then,
everybody's saying?
and then recommending that he stay home?
Yes,
Yeah.
and recommend.
Okay,
you
that-
stay home.
I'm for
That's the
that,
only option.
I'm for that, but
Yeah.
I guess the mandating was what I was just really.
Well, we can't mandate anymore.
Yeah.
As far as.
But that's what it says, we
Yeah.
can't. So
So
we're kind
So
of
that is our only
blowing this
option.
way out of proportion here. I think what you just said and is what we need to do. Recommend common sense do
That's
this.
what, I'm in for that. I guess I keep bringing up, that's my fault. I keep bringing up the mandate. I'm not,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't vote for recommendation that if they spouse has it or whatever.
And we know that there's people that are not gonna be like, okay, yep, no, we don't care, we're just gonna do our own thing. But we just wanna talk to the people that are in close contact and say, you've been in close contact. We recommend, please stay home for 10 days.
Be
Separate,
responsible
right,
citizen.
so we can try to kick
I
this
think
in.
you'll get further that way. Recommendation than.
and this is absolutely what we need to do.
Right,
And you did your job by saying that.
okay, we gotta
You-
move on.
Yeah.
Elena, real quick.
I think Lisa, I just unmuted Lisa, board member Lisa, too, so she could share.
What'd you say?
No, that's okay. That's all right. I was gonna share quite a while ago, but we've already moved on and I don't want to take up any more time going back. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Elena,
Okay, thank you. Elena Gagliano. First of all, I cannot hear who's talking. Again, the people that are there, the people that are on remote, who is Kara? Is anybody,
Yes, this is Kira Khan. I'm the physician in Anaconda and I'm the
You're a
local health.
physician, thank you, in Anaconda. And everybody else, it seems, connected to Anaconda. We know Anaconda. This is Granite County. Number one, I don't see any changes that you're doing with the tracking. There's no difference if somebody says they're close to somebody else who got it. It's up to them whether they want to quarantine. The other thing is it's not 10 days, from what I understand, it's 7 days. And so nothing, excuse me, nothing has changed really. And with the amount of tourism that we've had in Granite County, how do you know if you come down with the sniffles and a fever and it's not a cold? How do you know who you were in contact with? I think you proceed the way you want to. I don't think there should be any distinction between a vaccinated person or a non-vaccinated person, because if we had more time, I can give you a hell of a lot of more documents regarding that situation. And if you look, I guess the Department of Health and Human Services, every Monday, they have the hospital capacity of all hospitals, the beds that are taken up and who's sick with COVID. And believe me, that does not match the story that I'm reading in the newspapers.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks, Elena. We gotta move on. I get your point. Yeah,
One thing you tell her is Dr. Khan's the local health officer. So.
what's that?
Dr. Khan is our local health
Yeah,
officer.
Dr. Khan is our local health officer. Okay, so for this board, do we want to just say that we want to recommend what we talked about? And I'm all for that, and
We make a motion.
appeal to people for common sense.
Second motion.
Yes.
One second. She said one second.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All those in favor of the motion?
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
I appreciate the
Aye.
motion. Now I understand it better. I mean, when you brought it to the things like that. that's the way-
Yeah,
It was hard
thanks
to
for
bring
bringing
it
this
up,
up.
yes, last week because, not everybody was here. So Dr. Khan, I'm glad everybody was here. Thank you, Dr.
Was-
Khan.
Was
Thank you,
Lisa able
everybody.
to vote on that?
We did.
Just to give her a vote.
Yeah.
Lisa, do you want to unmute? I just sent you here we go. What was your vote?
Yes.
Yes, I.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Kara. Yes, are we doing Board of Health next Tuesday then? Or are you guys pushing it for 2 weeks from today?
This was a.
What do you
I'm sorry, I had my head down. So I didn't hear you.
Next week, Board of Health, or wait 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2
You
weeks.
guys want to do 2 weeks?
Yeah, let's just do 2 weeks
Let's do-
because we've done 2 in a row now. So let's skip
I
this
think
week.
it's better that way.
Okay.
Okay.
If something comes up, you can,
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks.
okay, thanks. Now we're in Georgetown Lake outflow. It's bad. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're down 19.8, so that means we lost a little over 2 inches this week.
Oh, cool nights. That's.
It was, Paul said this morning he was up at Red Lion and it was 38 degrees there.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think we're stuck at where we're at. We still got to keep dumping 30. So
Just pray for rain.
that's all we can do. I mean, these guys are, I know the recreation, I know it's tough, but so is the people trying to do it. Like, I make a motion to stay at 30. We got the banks wet, we're keeping.
I second it.
Any public comment on Zoom?
What?
Shot.
Oh, boy.
One thing that's gonna potentially come up here is the 30 CFS during the irrigation season versus the 2-foot rule. And my opinion is gonna be that the 30 CFS supersedes the 2-foot rule. But that's still a gray area, but hopefully don't get there.
It'll be close, but you know, I think we're here this week, it's gonna be hot and that, hopefully, I mean, these cold nights are out there. You can see, you know, you can walk around more, there's moisture, but it's just not that damn wind. Yesterday was 30 to 40 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, it's like just blowing that water right off the top of the lake.
So, I mean, there ain't nothing we can do about that part, I mean,
Well, I think probably in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have more time for Georgetown discussion.
There'll be people
Yeah.
coming in.
well, I hope they don't wait that late either, I mean, unless, like the fishing game, and then once again, they should be on there every week, you know, it's a big deal. You know, we have to go to them, everybody else to adjust and do stuff, but yet we never hear from them until it's disaster time.
Exactly. Okay, we're gonna move on to Area 5 SFY 2022 contract modification.
The contract modification.
Yes, this was more money, and Sarah knew about this a long time ago, so we're kind of just catching up to, it's already budgeted. It will be budgeted, it's the plan to be budgeted.
But this is that, we just need to make the motion on this Area 5 contract modification.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to go ahead with the Area 5 agency on aging contract modification, contract number A520003-.
I second.
Any public comment, Elena?
Okay, online you have the contract, whatever you call it, and there's apparently 2 amendments. I only see one that's attached.
Could you say that again, please?
Online, there's a copy of the document, but it says there's 2 attachments to it, and I only see one.
I only have one that's saying on the back. And what it is. That's it.
Let me look at my email. Make sure I attach both. Yeah, that's all there is.
She said that's all there is. Elena, just that one attachment.
But the letter says there's 2. The contract says there are 2. 2 amendments. You're gonna sign something, I think the whole thing should be there, don't you?
So,
It's online.
Was there a typo that said 2 amendments when there's only one?
no, I just posted what Jackie sent me. Like, looking at it right now.
So anyway, we're gonna sign it, so
I know.
all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 You don't know what you're signing, but sign it anyway.
did.
Thank you.
Right here.
This is all I've seen, this, I think the total agreement, so there might have been a typo on.
The whole thing was on the website, Elena.
The letter is probably a typo.
And so it would be a typo when it said 2. So we'll correct that.
Okay, we're gonna be off till 9:40. Okay, now we're on for Flint Creek Dam. We're back on for Flint Creek Dam letter to FERC regarding 11-month walkthrough for dam face spillway rehab discussion and decisions. And we talked to Jonathan Weaver last week and it was good, and I think we sent the letter.
You
Yes.
decide, here is the letter. I think we just have to sign the front.
So is there a motion to sign the letter?
I make a motion, you sign the letter to FERC regarding the walkthrough.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye,
public discussion?
aye.
None. Aye.
Aye.
FERC also sent the county a letter there, I haven't read it, regarding the seismic study.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it
read it.
either. I saw a follow-up on the PFMAs.
Up was on the site, right?
Elena does have a comment.
You're on vacation, something.
I was a week early.
Oh,
Thought my son was gonna be here today, but
oh, Elena, you got something?
I don't know. Are we still on that? Or we are moving on? Are we still on the letter or are we moving on?
We're gonna move on in about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh, thank you. I assume I don't see Jonathan Weaver,
We talked to him last week. He was in here.
but he's not here for this public meeting about this case. There's any questions regarding the 17-page letter?
But we did the questions last week when we talked to him.
Oh, but you had the letter last week?
Yeah,
Oh, you did. I didn't see it last week.
The draft.
it was a draft letter, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look back last week because I didn't see it as part of the notices. And so this will be electronically filed then,
Yeah,
because I didn't see it on the agenda. It says, whatever. I'll have to check on that. Thanks.
okay. Let's see, so is, what's the name, Tom? Again? Let's see him.
So you may want the seismic, the response and seismic stuff on the agenda next week, I'm not sure what they said.
On what?
They responded on that seismic, request for the.
Oh, they did?
seismic study to be waived. I haven't read the letter yet, maybe that could be an agenda.
Didn't read the letter yet.
Well, to download it, you have to enter the password, I asked Claudette too, so. it's gotta be-
Okay, we're gonna start with, move on to Paul for roads.
so we're still dirt patching up the lake. We got a couple more days up there. And I mean, we could go for 2 more weeks, but we gotta cut it off somewhere. And then we're gonna move down to Lower Rock there on Monday and start dirt patching down there. And we still have some cold patch stuff left to do. And so that's what those guys are doing. And then we have some other roads we still have to hit before we get all froze up to reblade. And we're Tommy got his plant in, so we're hauling sand today. So this week we'll haul sand all to Beaver shop and haul it to haul steady next week. Because our salt should be here next week. So hopefully within 10 days we have all our salt sand mixed. And hopefully we don't need it.
So when you gonna start cutting grass then?
As soon as we get this sand mixed. So, a week from next Monday.
Oh, you use salt for sandbags?
No, we mix salt with the sand
Oh, I see.
for the
And you're
trucks,
hoping we don't need it.
right?
Well, we do need it because we want lots of snow.
I know.
Yes, so don't do it.
We're about to, right.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about that, well, that's a technical. Okay, keep talking.
Well, I went and looked at that Red Line Road.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that at 10.
Oh, okay. So,
I was gonna talk about it too. I was up there.
I looked at a bunch of that chips in, it looks good.
yeah,
I think it turned out really good, the chip season.
Oh, yeah, that's great, great.
Like I said, People won't do fast,
Oh, yeah,
you never fix ass.
yeah. But
What? Sorry.
Okay, we still gotta talk about that gravel pit out at Middle Fork. What did we decide on that?
What?
That gravel pit,
Oh,
if we're ever gonna develop it?
well, we just got it kind of tabled until Mark gets out here. He's gonna be out crushing. He should have been here 2 weeks ago, but we're gonna go out and look at it and see what he thinks, and then just have to make a decision.
And who's that?
Oh, a gravel crushing company,
Oh,
and we talked about throw it out for some bids on X amount, 10,000 yards or whatever.
Do we have that in the budget?
Would be next year. We just need to make a tentative plan and then budget it.
so we've done everything necessary to get a hold of the state and tell the state that we're gonna hold on to it.
That's all done.
Yeah, it's all done.
Yeah.
So and we've got what, a grace period?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're all good. Nate's went and sprayed it. So,
Good. So anything else on roads?
we've never came to a 100% plan if we're taking these millings or not next year. And that's something that's gotta get figured out.
I'm not too keen on it for next year because we don't even know where we're gonna put them.
but you could still, we could take them, it's not gonna cost us to take them, but we don't have to use them,
Okay, if we have a place to store them then.
we do. We talked to a couple of people, and we just gotta go meet. Paul and I can go meet with Charlie Parks, he's got a spot down there by rodeo ground, and that he's like, we might have to put a culvert in, but we could use a place there, and there's a couple of options, but I feel that if we have the option to take them, we should, whether we use them now, a couple of years, or whatever.
How long do they last? Seems like the longer they're there, the less effective they are.
No, they last. They're obviously out of the press better, but next year, maybe they don't grind anymore for 5 years. It's a game, who knows? But I don't think we lay them next year. If we take them, I think we use that money. So, and more or less chip seal what we have laid. You know what I mean? I just think that'd be a better
But
plan.
it doesn't cost us anything to get them.
Right,
They'll truck them into us.
they truck them in.
I think
No,
we should
take
take them.
I mean, it'll cost us to put a pipe in and do a little bit of work on the ground there that we're gonna put them in, but they deliver them and they stock on it.
You know, like they said, they might not even do it, but once they get further away from us, then we won't get them, then it goes out. You,
Yeah, they just happen to be in our county right now. That's why we get the option to take them.
How many miles are you thinking of chip sealing next year?
I'm not sure yet. I got an email on it, but I can't remember exactly. But it's just gonna be one lane where it's all screwed up,
Oh,
so
I was just gonna say over 80, you put out for bid, but if it's.
No, but it's-
only
it's free.
It's free.
all that chip sealing.
Not
No, no,
chip
no.
seal. We're
But
not talking, we're
I thought you were
talking
talking about
about
chip sealing.
taking the millions, but we're
Oh,
not.
okay. But you're not, okay, chip sealing, that's not,
no, we'll have to get that.
yeah.
So whatever you guys wanna do,
I'd make the motion we take it, whether we use them in this,
If they're free, yeah.
That way you can get a hold and let them know. Otherwise, they'll be farming them off, other people that would grab.
Okay, I second.
Any public comment? No public comment. All those in favor say aye.
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 You get a hold of Charlie, we'll go.
Anything else?
nothing I think about that. They're supposed to ship that truck this week,
Oh, okay.
so. And then I visited with Blaine a little bit about writing up a paper for snow plowing on our county roads for anybody that we're gonna let do it. We'll give them some guidelines.
Yeah, he's got some enforcers.
Oh,
Billy got here, what they have for snow plowing. Yeah, and let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's get all written up.
so anybody that does it, they have to follow that or else they can't do it.
And
Probably,
get permission.
Yeah,
I have a model contract, but yeah, maybe your language on the specs would, or
yeah, we just wanna have it. So it's 2 lanes and turnouts, loud. Gotta have some holes punched in the berms, otherwise it runs down just
Right.
roads to roads. So
Right.
that
Right.
just,
wonder if there's even
Open
like a
culverts.
Mhm.
attachment we can do with it as a follow.
Yeah. That way it's signed on.
But if we have it similar to the Forest Service, then there wouldn't be a big,
Right.
I mean,
No,
just
it's-
like the, what the Douglas Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's county then. Forest
Douglas
Service.
Road. And even
Should still
Black
be able to-
Pine Road, you know, where they, like last year, they just plowed right straight down the middle of it. Didn't do it very good,
And
to say the least.
I can bring this up at 10, but, and Blaine can correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day when I was responsible for a lot of snow plowing on timber hills and roads, the person to put the blade on the road is basically liable then for, so if they screw it up and put a burn someplace and the snowmobile comes and there's a wreck, yeah, it's not, it's just a single lane or whatever, that they'd be liable. And if you have the specifications and they do it like that, they plow the whole road width, and they do the turnouts and whatever, then they probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree. There's exposure liability if they don't, and to the county as well, so. Them have an insurance policy naming the county as insured would be, should be in that contract, which it is. I would say, people come to you, have them on the agenda and have them, if whether it's filling a pothole or plowing snow.
Okay. Need public comment on roads? So I guess we're off to 10. Okay, now time for Tom Crawford to discuss issues on Red Line. Is he here?
Yeah, I'm Tom.
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, I'm Tom Crawford.
Yeah, see here if you want, or you can stand. You can sit up here if you want, or you can stand.
How you doing?
Good. I'm Chuck Blanch Scott.
Scott?
Scott, yeah, and that's Paul the road supervisor.
Yeah, Paul.
So you guys invited me to this meeting today. How can I help?
How can you help? Well, by reading your emails, it sounds like you don't want to plow the road.
No interest in plowing the road. I called Paul, we bought this property not quite a year ago. And I called Paul just to find out what is the rule and regulation up here, which is your superintendent for the roads. And Paul told me at that time that he told me that the jurisdiction, he said you could not touch the road December 1st through April 1st. So it was May 1st is when I took a cab up there and opened the road. And I talked to Paul about that. Another reason I called Paul, I want to know, because I saw when I bought this property that there was some agreement between the Forest Service and the county that there was going to be some reconstruction on the road. And at that time, Paul told me, he said, not sure, he said there's supposed to be a meeting in July and he'd get back to me. I also asked him at that time, he said, I had concrete trucks coming up to pour our foundation on our home. that we're building up there. And I said, the road is horrible. I said, could you come up there and take a look at it? I said, I'm willing to help you. I have a lot of my own equipment. I have dozers, dump trucks and so. So Paul just said, well, he said, I'll drive up there, I'll take a look at it, I'll call you back. He never did call me back.
Didn't see any reason the concrete truck couldn't get in.
I'm also saying it didn't call me back, so I didn't know what to do. So I did take a couple of loads of material to fill holes up there on Red Lion.
Okay, well, we're not trying to place blame on anybody, but, if you don't want to plow the road, I mean, that's fine, so.
We have no interest in plowing the road. The only reason I opened the road that time, we're hoping to get maybe a little head start on the construction.
And I think we are gonna do a little bit of work up there, aren't we, with the Forest Service, when the rack money is supposed to.
We need to discuss it more, but yeah, there's opportunity.
Didn't a rat money go to a lot of engineering or?
No, there's about $100,000 and engineering is only 15 or 20.
One thing I would say is if any type of work you want to do up there, you just come get on the commission's agenda, contact Billy and then the commission can talk to you about it and have an agreement in place. So it's more formal, I'd say. You got a copy of the resolution on the being closed the wheel traffic December 15th, April 1st. Okay.
You guys have a sign up there, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it states that. It said the road is not usable during that time period, so I just assumed after that, you could drive in there. May 1st was already melting so bad, there's already dirt showing on the end of the road, so I just assumed snowmobilers weren't gonna use it anymore at that time, so I thought it'd be all right to run my cab.
Well, they're not, but yeah, just get a hold of us if you
Right.
want to do something.
But either way, it still has to be plowed through the. So, yeah, pass them. You can't leave stuff, you gotta shut the stuff off the road so people don't wrap and stuff on.
Well, somebody was saying, last week, they were saying that the snow was plowed. You plowed the snow
Right, yeah, May 1st.
while they were still using it. Because,
That's not true. That's not true at all. I mean,
It is true.
we were up there every day after I plowed the road. Brandon used it, lives up on top of the mountain. And Brandon followed me up as we plowed the road. They carry their snowmobile in the back to the pickup. We followed, there was as more, and I'd always put a turnout because I couldn't plow all that in one day. It probably took me 3 days to actually get to our property. We're up there from the, I think it's Echo Lake Road, we're up there 3.8 miles. So it took me about 3 days to open that up so we could actually get into our property. And during that time, the whole time that I was working on the road, there was never a snowmobile up there other than Brandon coming in and out every night. And I talked to Brandon. He said, Tom, would you do us a favor and put us a turnout where they can drive their pickup in and get turned around with their pickup, their snowmobile? I said, I'm more than happy to help you out. And as a neighbor, anything I can do. And that's kind of how that was left. He came back to me more recently, said, well, my daughter was driving on the road after you plowed it and hit some ice or something. And apparently she got hurt, according to him. But they never said anything to me during that time period or do something different on the road or whatever. I'm a pretty good guy. I live there, and if anybody wants to stop in and say, hello, Tom, could you do this, do that? More than happy to listen to people and do what I can, to either help or avoid it or whatever we can do.
is there a place past where the blade is, sitting there? There's a blade sitting there like a,
Well, the blade's probably on my property, but I do have a triple axle dually
trailer sitting there too.
Yeah.
So that's your place right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was up there last week.
Yeah, you can get around it, but yeah, I'm planning on moving that off there altogether. Trying to clear a little spot down below the building to get all my, or on the other side of the road, we're gonna clear some area for construction.
Who's got the place just above you then, like a half mile?
We own just about 3/4 of a mile of the road. both sides of the road, then my daughter's got 40 above me. It's got the new,
Yeah, that difference. Wayne?
One thing that Paul said was that sign was removed, so that a new one could be put up with language on closure of traffic.
my wife knows the signs are gone, but I don't know where they're gone. Somebody took them down.
Hanging in somebody's garage, the other night. We'll put a non-maintained sign up there.
Well, who do I talk to then with the county or with the Forest Service so we can make some improvements on the road? And I don't mind helping the county, I don't mind funding the project myself, I've done it before. I had a farm in Bozeman I recently sold, I did a lot of work with the county.
Well, we're all here. We got the Forest Service, we got
Yeah, so I'm asking.
all of us. And like I say, there, I thought with the rack money, we were gonna do a little bit, we're not gonna fix the road up to
Right.
county standards.
I don't think you ever could, it costs so much to try to fix that.
Yeah, you got a lot more than 100 grand into it to get it. I was a real estate developer for 21 years. I'm pretty familiar with road building, did a lot of that myself. And most of the culverts are washed out, either that or they're crushed or destroyed. Foresters, as you know, so much firewood cutting going on up there, and so much of the debris has been left in the ditches and so on, so it's backed up the water. Topsoil, the road base is completely washed out, as you know. The road is in rough shape, as you guys know. So whatever I can do to help. You guys
So-
can always get a hold of me.
Yeah, what I want to do is I want to make a comment. Mr. Crawford, when you said you assumed you could do this, and it was a county road, and so there's dispute that you did this and shouldn't have done it. So the reason
Well, I
that we're
just-
here
I
for
call-
discussion is because you can't just go out there and plow on county roads without permission, and we've discussed that we can't let that happen. So, and because it is a snowmobile trail, so that's what this discussion is about
Right.
mainly. That you did go plow, there was an accident, and
May
you
1st.
you didn't get permission to plow. You just assumed you could do it because it was May 1st.
Well, not necessarily true. I did
Well, you
call,
just said that.
I called.
Yeah, I didn't
Paul.
tell him you could plow. You said there is no plowing until May 1st. And
He didn't ask you to plow.
no, he wanted to know, yeah, he wanted to know about plowing. I said there is no plowing until May 1st. But obviously now he knows you're gonna have to come in here next year if you want to plow.
So you assumed May
Agree.
1st that you could plow.
Right,
But you still have to get permission to go on a county road and start doing stuff. Because of liability,
Yeah, I-
you and
I
us.
understand. That's the reason I called Paul.
But I
This
mean,
is-
if you didn't meet him, you should have come in. I'm not putting the blame on you or him, we're not gonna get in.
Right.
I'm just saying that now you know, if something like this, you have to get a hold. You're saying he didn't call you back, there's us here,
Who do I talk to?
right here.
Right
This
here.
is us.
So I don't call the county, talk to strictly the commissioners.
Well, you could call him and then he can get a hold of us, or you get a hold of us, but it's gotta go through us.
I'd rather
You still gotta be in here.
It's gotta go through
Formal
this whole
meeting.
process.
Yeah, all you'd have to do would be call our administrative assistant and say, hey, Paul didn't get a hold of me, what can I do? But right now that you do know that you can't plow without permission,
Yes, okay.
and that they're
Alright.
not
And I have no
going to,
intention of.
they're not going to be able to maintain the road like you want it maintained. And we have agreements with the Forest Service, and there's a snowmobile club that, I mean, there's all this stuff in this county road that needs to be looked at and adhered to. And you can't just assume on May 1st I can plow it because Paul didn't get back to me
Or any road.
or any, yeah. So I mean, that's what mainly our discussion.
So is there any public comment?
Yeah, I'm Nick Rochnak, on Snowmobile Club. I guess my biggest concern is, you know, my biggest concern with allowing it is people aren't done snowmobiling in May. And when he did do last year, there was one accident for sure. I know another snowmobile that came down, hit an iPhone, just bent snowmobile up. Wasn't life and death, nothing big deal, but who's gonna be responsible? He starts plowing May 1st next year. You guys are responsible, somebody gets killed because he leaves the nice couple mil trail, or is he?
Well, he said he wasn't gonna do it, so.
Well, yeah, but this plowing early, it's not good for nobody. It's not good for your road. Cause all it does is makes the water run through there and erode it even worse. That road needs to melt naturally like it's supposed to. Otherwise, the road's gonna just keep getting worse and worse. It don't matter if you put new gravel on. You plow that, all the water runs right down that instead of off the side and naturally like it's supposed to.
And that's why the whole road has to be plowed and the drainage opened up when the
Yeah,
road is.
I mean, that's just like you guys.
But he's not gonna do it anyway. so.
But there's big responsibility, liability, in my opinion, somebody, and I don't think the Forest Service wants all that washing away and DEQ, all that dirt running into their creeks. I mean, there's a lot of other things besides just getting in your place. Really, I get it. Totally understand, but there's other things that can go wrong with this besides screwing up snowmobile. There's a big process. DEQ have really shit fit over, I would say, watching that water run into the creeks instead of naturally like it's supposed to.
Any other public comment? Yelena?
There's a lady coming up.
Lena, wait.
Sorry, I was trying to get your attention.
I'm Angela Smith. I'm a snowmobiler and we own a property right above Mr. Crawford's. So I had a couple things I wanted to visit about is we're not done snowmobiling May 1st. And by plowing the road May 1st, it actually kept us from being able to get into our place for at least another month. There's no place to park at the end of the road. So there's kind of that part of thing. So it hurt us from getting in. I agree that road needs to melt more naturally instead of being plowed up, especially with the erosion part of things. I'm a little bit concerned about how many access roads were punched in, and whether or not Mr. Crawford actually had permits to punch as many access roads into this place as he did. It seemed like he was in a really big hurry, a lot of mud. I think he punched in 4 or 5 roads into there, knocked over trees, and had all the stuff parked out there on the road. But I'd be interested to know if he actually pulled permits for all the roads to punch. And then also how close to the creek he was actually moving dirt, and whether he pulled any permits with that WP to be moving dirt as close to the North Fork of Flint Creek as he was.
No, we're not here to pick on Mr. Crawford right
No,
now.
I'm just, there's just a couple things I want to get on record to say. But you know, those are my main concerns about it. The other thing is just, you know, the rest of us that own property up there bought our property, knowing what the condition of the road was, knowing that our access was by snowmobile or cross-country skis or whatever in the wintertime. Like, we all bought our property knowing what that access was gonna be like and preferred it to be that way. That's why we bought it. We knew what those trails were. The snowmobile trail runs right through our property. We liked that, we wanted it. And so to have one person come in and just, well, the road needs to be rebuilt and it needs to be plowed and it needs to be this, like, that's not what it was when it was purchased. And so I'm not saying that, you know, we can't have, you know, growth and improvement on those roads and stuff, but the rest of us that own property up there bought it because of the way it was when we bought it.
It'll definitely be on the agenda if something starts happening, we'll be with the county. It will be on the agenda. So I mean, that'd be the time.
And I'm not picking on any Forest Service projects that are gonna happen up there.
You saw
What
that.
I'm talking about is one single person making decisions on that road for all the rest of us, the recreationists that use it and the other landowners that are up there.
There'll be a public, there'll be a public meeting on it.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. I think that's building.
There'll be a public meeting on it.
Okay. Elena's still on public comment.
Who's next?
Cameron?
You had called on Elena.
Elena, you want to talk fast?
Yes. Oh, this is a public meeting. I didn't know that we have to talk fast. I heard from the media or read the media and they said there was an agreement signed in 1968. I looked and I couldn't find any agreement regarding that road online. So is there an agreement and where can I find the agreement that you have regarding that road? About
Oh, we're-
snowmobilers or forest service or whatever? Where's the agreement?
We're gonna hear from the Forest Service right after you talk.
Yeah, but I want to know where that's my question. Where is that document, that agreement?
Okay, we'll ask him.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'll answer Elena's question here first. Cameron Razor, District Manager of the Forest Service here in Beaver. So Elena, I believe that's the cooperative forest road agreement that allows the county and the Forest Service to mutually work on each other's roads. So that agreement's been around for 50 years, and that's what that reference is. We use that agreement for a lot of things in grouping as well. So we probably have a copy in our office. We redo it every 5 years, and we just redid it this spring. So there's a brand new copy in the office. One thing I would like to hit on real quick is just the resolution from 2010 ends up being a snowmobile trail April 1st. And just based on some things that I've heard today, that April 1st might be too early. I know that's super high elevation. But if folks are continuing to use it through May, maybe that resolution from 2010 needs to be revised. And just discussion on a better date that's going to work for the general population up there. So that's just one thing I wanted to hit on. Otherwise, I did send you guys the road use permitting process that we have and all the specifications we use, whether it's grading, ditch cleaning, plowing. That's all I sent to you guys. So hopefully that helps. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So may I make one more comment there? Did you get a permit from the county to access off your property off the county road? And you should have. So you have 5 roads that you've accessed
My
off?
daughter has an access. We were putting in another access for my daughter's lot. And we found a spring down there, so we decided not to use that approach. And then on the other side of the road, we took some sandstone.
But Paul has to come up and inspect it, and then you have to get a permit through the county to be able to access off the county
There's an
road.
application process. so
Yeah, there is an application
After the
process.
fact, but I
That's like-
encourage you to
it's like
do an
$200.
application on these.
Yeah, we can start.
For each one,
Make sure we-
$200 for each approach.
Yeah.
Does anybody else got them up there? I mean, I know people building up there, and I helped a guy, they called me and the realtor gave my name, I had the equipment, yes, and said, the guy from Billings called me, said, Tom, could you come up and put a website in? And he said, I'll look at it, went up and put in a culvert for him and so on. I don't know if he drew a permit or not.
I haven't got nobody drew from up there.
Did Greg, did Brandon, did the guys from Las Vegas, nobody had put culverts in. I mean, I did this most of my life, and I know what's required. I've worked at the county a lot, I've worked with planning and zoning. I haven't seen anything done up there. And all of a sudden, I'm up there and everybody, I'm the bad guy.
Only permits I issued up
I
there
don't
was
mind following the rules and regs, I don't have a problem.
right before the campground.
Let me say this, as the road builder myself, the road is inverted. And talking to this lady back here, the snowmobile guy, I understand road probably as well as anybody here. The road is inverted, and that's because it hasn't been crowned, hasn't been properly taken care of for many, many years. And I didn't see me going through all this permitting process when the road is in shambles. Why would I have to go through all this stuff when no one seemed to care about the road other than really myself? I'll clarify, I've had numerous neighbors come to me and say, Mr. Crawford, thank you so much for filling some of these holes and improving the road. That's the truth.
Well, my response to that is this resolution is 2010. Public record here and says that it's a non-maintained county road. You went and bought property there after 2010?
What is the problem with, if the county doesn't want to put up money, and I understand that.
Yeah, I know, but
if
you're
the
saying you don't have
resident-
to follow the rules. When you bought this
I
after 2010, there's a public
understand.
document rule here. So you're basically saying you don't have to follow the regulations of Granite County. That's wrong. There's not a lot of regulation here, but go through the process and do it right.
I will.
Yeah, I think it will. He's, you know. So, anything else? Elena?
Just one quick comment, question, rhetorical. How can you follow the rules and applications and permits if the public doesn't know where to find them? Usually, if you come into this community and interested of something, you look on the website. You mention a resolution. Where is it? How do you find anything if you're interested in buying property? That's my comment.
Well, one response to that is those permit applications are online. Resolution is not what the county's working on that, but a simple call to the county would answer that.
Another reason I didn't put in culverts, I know Paul would probably recommend that, but the road is so inverted. And my road going into my driveway is like this, there's no way you're gonna get water into my driveway, no matter what you do, because the way the road is constructed. So I should have gotten the permit, there's no question, I'm not gonna argue with that, and I will.
We have another comment.
Morning, for the record, Mark Sweeney, Senate District 39 here in Anaconda. And I don't envy the position you're in, and it sounds like just good communications is what we need. And I think this meeting was good in heading us into that direction. But what I did want to say is that area up there, as everybody here knows, is vital to our economy. You know, it's a heavily used, high access snowmobile area, and Mr. Crawford realizes that, the snowmobile. And I think we're all on the same page here. We just got off track a little bit, but I've been hearing a lot of my constituents who are from the Anaconda Snowmobile Club, and that parking lot all winter long. I use it for cross-country skiing, and it's just a busy place, and we all appreciate that. And I know that through these kind of meetings, we all get together and work through this. Appreciate your effort and what you're trying to do. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. So, seeing no more comments, so we're gonna wrap this up. And thanks for coming in. And I think we got something decided. Understand each
I'll
other.
definitely be talking to the county.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Mr. Clark.
see you later.
Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Bet. Good seeing you. Bet. Good seeing you. And then we have to get up here and see you guys.
Okay. We're on. We're moving on to inspecting bonds.
We don't have to inspect.
I have just a quick question. So I'm Lucinda Christensen.
What was your name again?
Lucinda Christensen. I don't have anything to do with this, but I did have a question. So if you buy property, sorry, if you buy property off of a county road, you have to have a permit to put in a driveway or access to
And
property,
that's
is
it.
that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's a county policy, unless there's one there red. But it has to meet the county standards like height and width and, yeah.
So
Any
would-
any work on a right of way, that's a statute.
Okay,
Yeah.
wouldn't that also be up to the realtor selling the property to
This is a-
people to say, hey, before you put a driveway in, you better make sure you get all the permits too?
Well, see, this is a problem we've had before, a lot of these realtors, just to get rid of the ground, and say, you know, this is well maintained, and I mean, it's for sale. And I don't think they really get down to, you know, giving policy stuff, but anybody, even a developer, he knew. I mean, being for 20-some years, he's a developer, so he
Yeah.
should know any.
One thing though is that the county doesn't have a remedy to go after the realtor, it's the county goes after the landowner, so the realtor, they would have to go after but there's liability, there's civil liability to the landowner that damages the county road. And
Then blind corners, and, you know, just not getting them into the position, putting a driveway in just because they want it there might not meet the standards of safety and that of going. Yeah, it should, it's supposed to be looked at before you.
absolutely, yeah, I want to reiterate, there's a state statute that says you have to have permission from the county to do any type of encroachments on a county road.
Okay, so there's no bonds to inspect. Okay, in
I'm
here?
just thank you.
Huh?
So,
Okay. So then we're gonna, oh, so then Dick Mata has a comment.
On what? Bonds?
Well,
Oh,
Unmute, huh?
Okay.
Well, I'm kind of questioning whether or not you can hear me, but you're supposed to be on to the next budget item and inspect the bonds according to the 7/4/2213. Do you have a list of the bonds that you're, is the list of the bonds on the document section of the internet?
no,
yeah, no bonds. Since,
there are no bonds.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's no bonds to inspect at this time.
What do you say? So the meeting has been deleted or suspended or not going to be held?
Right, yeah.
there's no bonds to inspect.
So in 1 minute, we'll move on to another agenda item. And no, in 10 minutes.
The
6
county
minutes.
bonded. Is that what it's about?
He said, is there any bonds that are issued
Oh,
to the county? Yeah.
there is,
On county
right?
projects.
So I
You get
guess,
that, Dick? There's nothing to do until,
so why was it even on the agenda if we don't have any bonds?
Mike has it on the preliminary agenda, so I left.
I think
it
it's
Yeah.
required to have on your agenda, it's by
Okay.
statute, if there's none, then you
Okay.
just table it.
Okay. So,
okay, so we're gonna go off until 10:35 then.
Yeah,
Let's go back. I made a mistake. Okay, so we're on to county request for reimbursement from FAA for master plan project at Riddick Field.
Is this the one that they actually had to change the budget on?
No, this is so from KLJ, from the master plan. You guys did the first reimbursement request a couple weeks ago after you guys accepted the FAA grant. This is the second request for reimbursement. I think this is the final.
Second, why is there two?
Do you know why?
well, this is what Sarah said, there are two reimbursements, and this is the second one. We received the first one, and this is just the grants monies for the airport.
So you have the engineers are doing
Yeah.
ongoing
Yes.
work and are working on
Yes.
the master plan, and so as soon as they submit bills, then
We,
pay them and then ask for reimbursement,
yes,
and so then that's.
And this is for 213,000?
looks like it's 25,700.
Must be 213 total.
Yeah, there was 183,000.
Yeah.
First request.
The feds are paying 213.
Yeah, it's right.
So total requested to date, 213,150, total remaining 69,850. Percent of grant 75.22%.
I think there was some question on the match, and I think that's all taken care of now to the FAA, and then so there's not gonna be any other even having to go for another grant or anything
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
match. So.
there a motion to sign this?
Make a motion, you sign and request the second reimbursement amount of 25,700.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
One question, they're scanning all the county clerk recorded documents, they're gonna scan all the resolutions, and those will be on the website searchable, right? So
Yeah,
that'll be one of the best things that comes.
Yeah.
from that.
we're working on getting them on the commissioner's page too. So you'll be able to find all the resolutions on the commissioner's page to reference during meetings.
Excellent.
I think Elena has a comment after we voted too. Sorry, Hannah, go up.
Elena?
This is hard to follow, but I had gotten a email from Billy, and I guess it was this morning, from the engineers or whoever they are. Did you see it? The email, because I said, what about questions and stuff? And apparently, they answered the questions, and if I had any more, but I don't think they answered my questions. Did you know that there's a web page too? Regarding Riddick Field? Did you know, commissioners, that there was a web page regarding Riddick Field? That you can look at the documents and stuff?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, apparently there is. That's interesting. And the documents are supposed to be on there. So it's just confusing going here, going there. You can see the commissioners don't even know which one you're looking at. That's for the record.
KLJ is just.
Yeah, she had requested after you guys had approved the last reimbursement to where she could get copies of the surveys and the work that KLJ had completed. So I reached out to KLJ and Kent Penny responded back. He's the senior aviation planner. And he explained that the information they're able to provide regarding the survey is that the survey is conducted as part of the FAA Airport's Geographic Information Survey effort. And the survey includes aerial photogrammetry and field survey work. And the FAA is compiling a database of all the relevant existing information about airports in the US, including items on airport property and features surrounding the airports. And the database is accessed primarily by the FAA, but they look at maintaining airports. And for Phillipsburg, the information gathered from the survey will be incorporated into the airport layout plan that is being developed as part of the airport master plan. And once the drawings are drafted, they will be placed on the project website, which will likely occur in early 2022. And if she has extra questions, she can contact him directly.
Well, she can get a hold of every piece of airport
Yeah.
manager should come in, she should talk to him.
Yep.
His email gets to him.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on to
Well,
Granite.
his hands up.
Granite County Policy and Procedure Handbook. Discussion and decision.
It's big and I couldn't email it again to you guys after I added the addendum, so I don't know if you guys want another week with it or. I don't know. Let me know what you want.
I got a ways to go, I looked at some of them, and that.
So there's a lot there.
What was Carol Bornson's?
She wanted me to clarify the sick policy. Go to page 22.
What's her question, lunch?
She wanted me to, or wait, not 22. Yep, 22A, right in the middle. She wanted me to just clarify, employees asking their supervisor for permission to utilize sick leave for doctor's appointments. So I worked with Mackenzie McCarthy from NACO to clarify that statement.
So sick leave in the statutes, doctor's appointment is considered, you can use it for sick leave.
Yeah.
And you've got the 90 days, so what's to clarify?
Because you're supposed to ask your supervisor for permission to go out on sick leave to use it for a doctor's appointment.
What
And the
if
way it
it's-
was.
Well,
worded-
that's a given.
Yeah, she just asked if I would make
Unless-
the verbiage a little clearer, so
Unless
that
it's an
was.
emergency, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
try
I don't
to,
think,
try
yeah.
to work on the days that are.
I don't think you have to change it. It's a.
No, so what I have right on that statement is just a little clearer than what it said previously.
Clean, the language is cleaned up.
Yeah.
I think there might have been some issues in potentially the past or something. so just wanna make sure.
I never heard nothing. That's.
I think the distance.
So what do y'all want to do with this?
You need more time, Scott.
Like, a lot of it, you know, it's.
Okay, so we have two different addendums that we need classified. And I requested that the elected officials there should be a
Did I get that?
statement in there. And that the road is their compensation or their matrix is different than the regular county employees because they're union. Did you get that corrected?
I have to see what I have in here. The addendums I had to typeset, so my mind was pretty mushy by the time I got.
What page is that?
It's in the.
I wasn't in
very
there.
back.
Hmm.
It is in the copies I gave you guys today. I added all the agendas.
So what I did is I went through our personnel manual, our old one, and I went through the new one, and there were things that were missing. And so that I told them to Billy that they needed to be fixed, and we need separation, the difference between the road matrix and the county, other regular county employees matrix. And that we needed something in there with the road superintendent. He's appointed and he's not on the matrix. So he's a
I don't
salary.
think I clarified
They need
that.
to do that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have.
That needs to be clarified.
But maybe you should have it on
Yeah.
again next week.
Yeah. Well, we're
Just
getting
table it for
closer,
next
guys.
week. Oh, yeah, this isn't something we're gonna get done.
No, it's not. but we're
Let's
getting
table it
closer.
for next week again.
Okay,
All right, all right.
yeah,
So that's what we want with the road, that he's.
I mean, there's
appointed
things that
and
were-
Not on the matrix.
which understandably, you can't really put the addendum in with the matrix. The COLA always changes, but you could keep an example and it needs to be clarified
Saying as an
that
example.
the employee is covered under the matrix
It might
plan.
work when he wants to
Yeah.
work.
And then the COLA is attached to that.
Change year to year.
So,
I like that, but we're getting closer, guys.
So we're gonna have a motion to table it again.
I'll make a motion.
yeah, we've got a couple more changes.
So close though.
Well, it's gonna be because this is a big deal.
It is, and it's huge.
I'll make a motion to table it again for next week.
Okay, I
And
say,
then if it might go on for a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this. Wow. I get in there.
Oh, I
I agree.
feel right there. Feel right there.
and it really helps, Scott, to look at the old one as you're looking at the new one. You can kind of see where I picked up things that were missing that needed to be in there. So,
You're welcome.
So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
go on first day on.
Yeah, we're off until 10:50. Think. No time for resolution 2021-14, a Granite County resolution amending its 2020 fiscal year budget and authorizing correlated expenditures. First reading.
Do you understand this?
Hmm?
Do you understand this resolution?
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, you got monies that were anticipated and the
Yeah.
expenditures versus this is just basically authorizing that correction.
So what happened too is that the unanticipated and then they didn't book the full amount, which is a Gadsby thing. And so they had to book that full amount into the budget. So that's why the budget was being amended for 2020, but we haven't even got the audit report, so we can amend the 2020 budget. I mean, it's just kind of a formality, getting it corrected because it was unanticipated. Easy peasy. You found it now when you should have found it a year ago. But what do you do?
Not perfect. Not perfect. Some people are.
No, they
I'm sure they have.
Still fires going?
Yeah, a couple more popped up. Maybe it's gonna be 90 something, I'm not sure if it's season.
Dick?
He must be too close.
Yes,
to
I
you.
guess I was unmuted there. Based on the resolution, all of the individual agencies or funds exceeded their appropriation power. Are you going to hold any of them personally liable for that exceeding the appropriation power?
The county commission at the time approved all those expenditures. They were approved expenditures.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you.
Dick, this is Blaine. At the time, the county commission approved all those expenditures. So all of their, no one was acting outside of the authority.
So based on the law, you can amend the appropriation procedures, but by the same token, you're still supposed to hold them personally liable. And from what I understand, you're not going to hold any of them personally liable for the excess.
If the county did, I think the county commission would have liability in that case, because they already authorized them.
Who's speaking,
Dick?
please?
Dick, may I make a comment? So when this 2020 budget was approved, the only thing that was budgeted was the amount that they were going to expend that year. And we needed to book the whole amount, which is the whole cost of the equipment that was purchased because of Gadsby. They didn't do anything wrong. They just didn't book the full amount, and the full amount had to be booked. And that's what this resolution is doing, is correcting the booking of the purchases made by these funds.
No, it looks to me like they're exceeding their appropriations. That's why you have the budget. So in order to determine the limits of the budget appropriations. If you wanted to change that, you should have changed it a long time ago. And even if you do change it and amend it, they're supposed to be held
He's-
personally liable for exceeding their appropriations.
Plus there's funding there for all of it, so no one actually went into the hole where there was no funding for it.
No, they booked the full amount. They didn't pay the full amount. They had to book it. It's a wash. Goes in and out.
Just
So
properly accounting for it.
thanks for your comment, Dick. Recommended by,
Just to clean up the books.
Dick has another copy.
Who?
Dick.
Dick?
Oh, he put his hand down.
His hand went down.
It lit up and then you.
Then he-
Cause it lights up the square when you're.
yeah, a little hand. So the same thing's gonna happen in 2021. Because they didn't book the full amount. So you have to book the full amount and budget the full amount of the cost of the, like for the plow truck. You can't just book what we're paying this year, and that's what we did.
No.
There's a new Gatsby thing that says you have to book the whole thing, and it's a wash, it goes in and goes out, but it has to show that that was the total amount. Does that
Probably would
make
have been
sense?
some CARES money that were expended in,
Yeah.
that weren't anticipated.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
End of last year, calendar year. Maybe,
Which
yeah,
is-
same type of resolution.
It's gotta be a new Gatsby, because we never got to do that before. We just booked what we.
It's a good, paper trail.
Yeah, yeah. They're always good paper.
So the law changed or something? Did law change that?
Yeah,
Acceptable
Yeah.
practice.
It changes like 20 million times every year. That's why we have a CPA doing our annual report. Because they keep changing, make it easier to understand.
Back on 11:30.
No. Just kidding. I tease him.
I think the plan is the town's gonna be dumping their sludge into the pit there, at Black Pine.
Oh, really?
There'll be some trips up and down the county road, but I think they're gonna do some water things.
So is that gonna make it greener up there?
Well, just keep the dust down.
So where are they dumping it?
In the sludge up in the mine shaft.
In the mine shaft.
Yeah, I'm not sure which shaft.
I think they left one open just so they could do this. PEQ, it's all, it's been regulated. and stuff.
Permitted, yeah, he's the permit guy.
Well, I thought they were gonna spread it around and use it for,
I think there's toxic
Oh.
materials in it, so.
Once you start digging down in there, getting all
Let it dry so long, it's like kind of fluffy now, I guess, in the bag. They can sell it to pillows,
you can put it on your garden if you want, I guess.
besides the toxicity.
what's that, fluffy paper?
And I'm not sure what the toxic metals are in it. Is it,
Probably of all kinds.
yeah, multiple. Yeah.
If they start hauling a bunch up there, we just have to get something written up on the road thing that they can maintain down the road. We just put it in and stuff.
Yeah, probably be 100 trips. Senator Christensen.
I can't.
Who's Senator Christensen? I didn't know where she was gave her name.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, it's time for Maria Stopler.
So Maria actually sent me an email and she is on vacation. So she just sent all of us her report to go through on our
So we can go off air and read it, or
Yeah, whatever you want to do. More meetings.
I guess we're gonna go off until 11:30 then. And we'll read our report. Okay, it's time for Montana Department of Environmental Quality Project Manager Ben Quizno to discuss Black Pine mine cleanup. That's you?
Good morning, I'm Grant County Commissioner. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a few years.
I just need to have it up for it's running through the speakers back to his device for Zoom.
Anyway, I'll just keep it close. It's been a few years since I've been here. I believe Mr. Hinkle and Mr. Adler and I have met before, but Mr. Bird, it's a pleasure to meet you. And welcome and congratulations on taking the commission seat. Anyway, I'm just here to give an update. It's been a few years since we visited with you folks on the Black Pine Mine. And back, I think it was back around 2018. At that time, I was transitioning to become the new project manager, kind of pushed pause to see what the site was doing, let it stabilize after we removed an awful lot of waste rock and from the combination mine site on the east side of the site, and then a bunch of tailings along South Fork Lower Will Creek on the west side. Things along South Fork Lower Will Creek, at least on the trust property, are looking really, really good. They did a bang up job. As we go further down graded, however, there's still contaminants, but it has improved somewhat. The Forest Service will be, they're in the process of doing some investigation to determine additional possible removal areas within their administered lands. And backing up over to the combination Black Pine Mine site. We have some seeps that were on the east side. I guess they still are. After we removed the waste rock from beneath the buildings, some of these seeps, we got some new ones, and they came back pretty doggone hot with arsenic and zinc and a few other metals. But wanted to give it some time to stabilize, and the contaminants or the concentrations have come down somewhat, quite a bit, but they're still pretty hot, and we're going to be looking at removing the rest of those this season, if this remainder of this season into the next construction season. And so for this year, we got a if we went out for bid, had 3 construction contractors solicit bids. Our low bid was Montana Civil Contractors out of Bozeman, Belgrade, Bozeman. They'll have a crew up with about 5 to 7 folks up here doing work. Most of them we stay in Phillipsburg, but they did ask me to consider allowing 1 or 2 of them to camp on site. And we may end up doing that depending on where they request, more as a site security kind of thing, just make sure the equipment and supplies are left alone. And so looking at getting building a new repository just down below our existing repository, it's just off of Road 678, just below the ridge on the west side. And we're gonna go further down below that, just on the other side of 678, to build a new repository to hold the remaining waste rock. Also been in communication, and we've been working pretty closely with the town of Phillipsburg in the past years, a couple of years, and more so during the past year, about the possibility of accepting the sewage sludge into our repository. They did come back a little bit hot for some of the metals, which excluded that from being able to be land applied. And so the options for the sludge disposal were either hauling it off to a landfill, either Missoula or possibly Butte, or closer, which would be the Black Pine Mine. So we're still working on that, coming up with the specifics, and anticipate that we will begin hauling our waste to our new repository next spring into the summer, as well as accepting the sewage sludge. Initially, when we first began looking seriously at the sewage sludge, working together, there's about 3,000 cubic yards, and I'm thinking right now we're probably closer to perhaps 2,400 or 2,200 cubic yards. And by the time we get to hauling, or the town gets to hauling next year, I would not be surprised if it's down to 2,000 cubic yards. And it's going to be very light and fluffy, because basically it's organics, but there's enough metals in it that unfortunately it can't be land applied. And so our schedule this year is looking at moving in the contractor. They'll work on a repository, developing that this fall, so that way when spring comes, they'll be able to rock and roll with the waste rock, and looking also removing the buildings that were to get access to the waste rock. And so that'll happen this year. Looking at about 19,000 cubic yards of waste rock, and that will be hauling, and probably covering up the repository and the waste rock dump once it's reclaimed, with probably, I'm thinking about 24 to 25,000 cubic yards of clean fill, which will all be taken from on site. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what we've got. We'll be looking at doing some additional reveg on some of the previous areas that we did reclamation. Vegetation just did not take for whatever reason. So we're gonna try to do things a bit differently and kind of create a little bit better favorable conditions. We'll have roughened surfaces on the areas that did not vegetate, and use woody debris to try to provide shade and also capture moisture as it falls. So in a nutshell, let me make sure I've got it all. Looking at buttoning up the site late summer, and I guess go ahead and sit back and see how the seats on the front side or the east side of the site clean up, and we'll just kind of evaluate that and make the decision in a few years whether we need to do additional water treatment or if it's going to be adequate the way it is. So I know it's a real quick update. We once again we push pause just to see, do we need to do additional work, and the answer is yes, and so we're getting ready to work and wanted to give you something to present and also give a tentative schedule. Be more than happy to take any questions.
What kind of metals are in the sewage sludge?
There was a little bit of arsenic, copper, zinc. Just, yeah. The levels were high enough that they couldn't be land applied, but they're not so high that they would be classified as a hazardous material. So basically arsenic, cadmium, copper, lead, zinc, basically are top hit in this area.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you very much, and once again, thank you for your time. And, as things happen, I'll try to make sure that I come and update you periodically. Just
Hey, well,
keep you in the loop.
Yeah, thanks.
And once again, apologize for not being here, but there really wasn't anything to report other than, oh, we're just still watching to see what's going on.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
perhaps maybe next year,
Hmm.
if we get downtime, I'd be more than happy to go tour just to show you what we've got.
Okay, sounds good.
Good, thanks.
All right, well, thank you very much and have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
You too, thanks.
Thank you.
Wonder if there's anyone on Zoom that has questions.
Oh. Anybody on Zoom have questions?
The mayor knows what I'm talking.
So if that sludge is fluffy, do they cover it up when they're hauling it?
Yes, it will all be covered. Yes. It's hard to mix in dust. I guess I'll go ahead and do it preemptively. We will be hitting dust pretty aggressively. If there's dust, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've had other contracts over along Silverboat Creek that the contractors and I really locked horns because there was dust and they didn't think it was any big deal until I shut them down a time or two. And it got their attention. And heck, if you're driving with material, if it's bad enough to be picked up and hauled to repository or safekeeping, it's important enough to be invisible, non-existent, so get no dust.
It's in bags too, isn't it?
Yeah, but technically what'll happen is it'll be removed and
Okay.
then it'll be added, but we're definitely into the targeting of it all. We want stuff sealed and taken up there. And I might just add, if I could, that Ben's been really good to work with in terms of town, and so I think this is one of those horizontal integration things that'll work for everybody. And I'll just keep you guys apprised of what we got going on as it develops into the spring, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. There, have a good day. You don't get some nice people from DQ. Maybe we make. All right, whoops, didn't see that.
I think it was key.
Okay. Oh, Ernie Folk came up and talked to me about the no, no structure right there, it was removed in 2018, Mark Hutchins. But his point was, regardless of paying tax, he should be paying the rent, which his lease is up in November 2023. My thought is that, yeah, if he's not gonna put a structure there, then not renew the lease with him. That's the plan, to have a hangar there. When he was manager of the airport, he was pushing for the, to be used as hangars for the purpose of the airport. Not
Biggest one that has all that. He wanted to make sure that there weren't just lots that they could actually hang.
So whether you waive tax or not would be your call, but the county entered into that agreement with him with the expectation that there would be a hangar.
So, and then he hasn't paid since 17.
Yeah, that's fine. We're on. So, yeah, it would be only if he removed it like in April 2018, then he would potentially owe the first half of 2018, or at least prorated for it. But if you want to have it on your agenda and waive it, that's your call. You can have this agenda item. The county did enter into that agreement, the expectation that he was going to have it.
Only has 2
So one's
spaces.
there, yeah, one's there, one's empty. in space. The agreement, the lease itself does not say you have to have a hangar there, but if we didn't foresee this scenario or something.
Yeah.
Put it back.
Should adjust it in our lease agreement.
Yes.
So put it on the agenda then?
Well, he has to request it.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. He
Yeah, he would, yeah.
he has to request waiving it, and he just,
It's actually Dove Ranch LLC.
yeah. So it just, this was,
He might have said something to Vicky, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, he's been in my office asking me about it. But he hasn't requested me on the agenda yet.
yeah, he is the one that's wanting this waived. So he has to request it. We can't just waive it. And he tore the building down, but it's still,
He has one structure,
still
he has 2
has-
lots, he has one structure there, one's empty.
okay,
The thought was that he'd be rebuilding it.
yeah. So, yeah. The
Wait
agreement is,
until he
yeah,
gets on it.
yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to the lease agreement for the dock at Edwards Track up in the lake.
So they had come in and asked for the lease extension. I drafted, I made some changes. That said, be a 10-year lease with a 10-year renewal. I did have it in this draft, had it increased as of like 2024 go up. Just so that's why I wanted to run it. Have you sign it, then we can send it to them. But any change you want to do it. The automatic renewal does contemplate renegotiating the monthly amount. So yeah, I think that's the only reason. The history on these are that the county wasn't making it a high dollar amount because they're kind of falling through with what Montana Power is doing, kind of reasonable basis, but that's your guys' call on the dollar amounts.
Which is like,
The lease.
I think it's going up to $700 a year. Did I say month? It's a yearly, yeah. So $700 a year.
700 a year.
Yeah, after the because they already had the through 2023, so it's keeping it the same until then.
so then it goes up 7, it's $550 now?
Yeah. And so I think I put 700. I just thought, inflation.
Yeah. So what we're doing is the 550 until 2023. And then in 24, we'll,
Right.
so in 24, we're gonna do the 10-year then?
No, it's starting, 10-year starts
Okay.
from July 1
Uh,
of 2021.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds good to me. You good with it, Lawrence?
What?
You good with it?
Yeah. Sorry, I was,
There a motion?
I'll make a motion, we go ahead with the Edwards tracking extension.
I'll second it.
Any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.
Got one copy or two.
One.
Might if I make
Oh, yeah, let's make.
a copy of that and we can send them two originals. They can keep
Here, can I
one.
make a copy before you sign it?
How's it going, Janine?
Now it's time for Janine Bonnie to discuss maintenance issues.
Let's see.
This is what I was talking to you about.
Oh, that's just this thing right here. It blows all the time.
Well, it goes off sometimes.
Does it? I've never, most of my year on all the time.
Now they'll kick
Too
off,
loud.
you'll hear them, and then all of a sudden they'll kick off and it gets quiet.
And I think it's just the pump, the water going through the system, staying
Take it
in
out
motion,
the
so it doesn't get all
It just went off.
coagulated and clogged.
Hmm?
up.
It just went off.
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
So
Still here.
Yeah, it kicks off now, and then I've heard it get quiet.
So
Alright,
we
so-
can't, we can't get it off.
I think it has to go through the boilers, that water has to keep circulating.
Exactly.
There's such a big building and if it sits there and it can't keep it.
Well, it
cool,
gets
water
sluggish,
off,
right,
you gotta
right.
push it through.
Exactly. When you turn it back on, it'll just cost them.
I'm just gonna give you guys the
But, I
last
mean,
page.
I don't know, I'll call them and see if there's a way I can turn them down, like maybe turn off the pumps. But I think I have to send them, I'm not sure. So anyway, I have not received anything back from Dayspring yet. They're either gonna email something to Sarah or me, or probably both of us. And the guy that does the punching the numbers in and all that, Happy Blue Hole has got COVID. So we might be a little bit before we get anything on that. But they did finish everything up and it looks good. I cleaned up that one room down there today because it was a disaster. They got two, 1 foot by 1 foot squares down in that room, so we're gonna have them repaired. And then the one over in the elections office, yeah, the plaster and the lap, and both years dry, clean floors. Same thing they did up in your room, they did that section. Anyways, and in the elections room, they cut a hole in that ceiling as well. Possibly two, I can't remember. I think just one to get that floor. Okay, and then up in the ladies' bathroom, they removed the toilet and took out the flooring, the linoleum. I'm surprised that toilet hasn't fallen through the floor yet. It's all rotten all the way around where
Really?
it's at.
I made
I
a
am
good recommendation when I
surprised.
pushed for that to be done.
Yeah. I suggest we get on that.
For years and years.
So I don't foresee putting that back together, we might as well just get it done.
That's money.
Yeah, if it's a possibility, let's just go with that and get it over with. But I don't know what you guys want me to do as far as those holes in the ceiling in that one room. That one there doesn't really matter, it's ceiling tiles, I'll have to order some more, because I don't have enough, there's 12 of them rooms in that room alone. Luckily, there wasn't any ceiling tiles in that room down there, just on the ceiling. So I have to order, I got like 5 left from the last order I did. So,
One thing I'd recommend, if you guys are doing the handrails, bathrooms and elevator, I would just do the project all together. You've got it all, designed already. Dave is still encouraging you to try to talk to the judge and go up the elevator through the judge's bathroom. You want me to give him a call and see if
Yeah.
the bathroom is just moved
Yeah.
directly to the front of that mirror and chamber?
just moved over.
Yeah,
Instead of having a little dressing room, we'll just have maybe a bathroom there, but it's still have room to dress.
So
in.
that's pretty
Same
big room,
size.
isn't it?
It is, it's not a
Yeah.
bad size room.
And
at all.
it's hardly ever, well, the judge now is doing everything on Zoom.
I
He
don't
hasn't been
foresee
here
him
since
coming
COVID.
back, yeah.
Since COVID hit, he hasn't been, and Zoom works just fine. I mean, if you
Yeah.
had a trial, it'd have-
Yeah,
we've had some justice court trials.
Right.
But that's my, just to get the project over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better get going.
We'll
So
have
I-
that as an agenda item here going.
So we're gonna use the design from couple years ago when we had
If,
that.
Yeah.
though, if he
2018.
goes up to that bathroom, we'd have to do a redesign on that. I'm not sure what he would charge it, but I think it'd be worth it. That's my thing. But hopefully it'd only be like 10,000 or so, but if you're using Paul with, what's the,
A and K or A and J or whatever it is.
I mean, they are expensive, there's no doubt.
We don't wanna go that route.
I wonder if you could get, using someone else to amend the plan.
You
They
don't
talked
want to
about,
amend the
like-
plans?
Yeah, but I don't wanna use that bulb, I consider it just so high price.
And his,
No, it was
his plan
horrible.
was so complex that has all the specs and everything on it that it could cause no one to bid on it. They
Some of
wanted-
it was complex to the zoo stuff, you know, and the people got nervous.
Dave potentially said that, guys over there are going to have an engineer.
His name was John, I don't know
Yeah.
his last name.
But
Maybe we could talk
you
to
could,
Dave. Maybe get that guy's name and have him look at it. Some other one.
Who?
That guy in Anaconda, we might have to have Dave, get hold of Dave and find out that guy's name. I can't remember.
trying to think of that business and fund that has the engineer.
Well, that's for the elevator,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? So what about the bathroom? Same guy or what?
Well, he has a suggestion or a plan and what him and Dave walked through and kind of
Way cheaper.
readjusted the plans that we already had, basically.
Can we,
Oh, they did? I didn't,
is that plan our plan? We can readjust it?
yeah.
It's
With
one we
a
got from
different
the
engineer?
Architects out of Missoula.
The issue is, yeah, you can readjust it. The issue is, it has to be, it should be an architect.
Well, absolutely,
Yeah,
but what I'm
yeah.
saying is if you didn't want to get the same architect, if you could find someone, could they take the plan that we've already paid
Yeah.
for and adjust?
I think so.
Exactly, that's what
Yeah.
we took a
Yeah.
copy of what I had. And they were talking about it and they were moving things around. They have a plan.
Do-
That's all I
Want
know.
Yeah.
to try to talk to the engineer and see if you potentially get him as an agenda item? Or-
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to.
I mean, if that's something that we can do, take a plan that we've already paid for from a different architect and have another architect.
What were those plans? They were like
No.
80, what was it, 80,000?
They were spent.
Sky high.
Which depending on
I guess I
what,
should have
Yeah,
brought that
this was
file up. Do you want me to go
for,
get it?
maybe I'm wrong. If it's
I got
that
the
way.
file downstairs. If you guys want me to go get it. I'm not that stuff that architect happens.
So you're gonna get a hold of this guy.
Through Dave, the other architect.
Do you want him on, try to get him on the,
Yeah, I'd get it on the agenda.
okay. And then it'd have to go out to, once you get the redesigned plans, then put it out. Because then it'd be easy, just notice in the paper and we have plans that can have contractors come
yeah,
by.
as long as the one architect can't come back and say, that's my plan, you can't.
No,
change it."
the county has a right, even if the contract says he owns it, we have the right to give that to.
And this will be part of
It's our
our
copies now.
635,000 or whatever it is.
Uh,
COVID.
yeah, the ARPA is 675,000, so you, with this project and the padded cell. I think the padded cell one bids make him in pretty reasonable. That's a lot of money.
Currently, we have $328,165 in ARPA funds. Currently, we have $328,165 that we've received in our ARPA funds.
There'll be another,
Yeah, we'll get another payment sometime within the next year.
And I think the padded cell's on the agenda for next year.
Yeah, I think on this week, so we'll be pushing to next week.
I did talk to the sheriff and he's good moving forward, but wants to talk.
Alrighty.
So on those holes in the ceiling, do we need to put that out for bid as well?
No,
No,
it
it's,
should be over 8.
Now it's over 80, and if it's over 25, the commission can waive it, but you may want to, the policy says you'll get at least 3 estimates. Unless you waive it.
I guess we need to put it out so somebody come look at it, see how much it's gonna cost. We don't know.
Right, being plaster and lath, I don't know how they, I have no idea.
One in the newspaper, just have Janine reach out to people.
I couldn't pay for it, because I really don't know that many people. Dave would be the only one I know to reach out to.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of wondering where we're at on the dome, because I haven't had any contact with him lately.
So he is, saying he's working and has like a lot of it done in his shop. And then it'll be then take it to
Welding
a
part is
welder
what-
here. So
yeah.
Yeah, so he is, I mean, you're not seeing it being worked on, but it is being worked on. But
Okay.
that does tie him up though for working on anything else. Unless you,
But these holes in the ceiling are not like anything that has to be done right away. I mean, it's just there. You know, like I said, the one in the election office, you won't see anyway, you're gonna put the ceiling tiles in. But I need to order some more of them. That taken care of.
is there an interim fix for the toilets or just people just go out to go downstairs?
They've been using the judges, the
Oh.
ladies have been. Some have, some, like Phillips don't know, but use the judges, so they've been coming downstairs, but it's working okay so far. But yeah, it just needs to be taken care
Okay, well, thanks.
of.
We'll
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, maybe a motion then on the advertising in the newspaper. To go in the next, not this Thursday, but the next 2 Thursdays after. You can draft, I can draft it up.
I'll second.
All right, any public comment?
So I have on my mind.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Janine.
Okay, now we're in Road and Bridge Department and Solid Waste Union negotiations discussion, county road crew union request for employee union reps to be paid during in-person negotiations.
So there's gonna be potentially some private personnel issues brought up. I request you close that part of it and then you could open it back up for your decision.
Okay, we're gonna go off there. Okay, we're back on and Lance wants to make a motion.
I make the motion that the union reps not be paid during in-person negotiations. And if they want that in future negotiations, then we can look to that in the future.
As part of the negotiations this year.
Yeah, it can be used for negotiation this year.
Second it.
Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Oh, no.
Okay, where are we? So that's it for this.
Do we need to decide maybe if we want to go to mediation?
Oh, yeah, I contacted the Department of Labor Board Personnel Appeals and they have a mediator assigned and we'll get back to it, so it's going to mediation.
We need a motion to go.
You already did last.
We did last week. to go to mediation.
I don't know if it was a formal motion, but all three were.
And agreed that we need a mediator.
All right. So we'll be off until 12:25. No. Yeah.
So I don't know what you're thinking about
You can make it,
You have to, you want to amend.
okay, I want to amend Blanche's motion, previous motion. And my motion is that we go ahead and pay for the negotiations this year, but we put it into the negotiations for the future. So, but we'll just pay them this year because there was a misunderstanding.
One thing I would encourage you to do is, so we had the one in August, is that gonna cover the mediation as well? Just so it's clear on what you're gonna pay as far as negotiations this year. And then, so it'd be for the August 31st.
Just the
and
August.
August 31st, and anything future would have
Yeah.
to be negotiated.
Yeah.
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 That is my motion.
So my question would be, we're giving them 1 hour, is that correct?
Yes.
Credit for that? For that
Yes.
meeting? And are we only paying the 2?
Yes.
Yeah, because it says right here and Blanche caught it. too.
Yeah,
It's
only
supposed to
two can be
people.
Okay,
So that would, that could be
So
your
one from
motion
up here,
too.
one from down there, and that's okay. The two that come from up here, now they get to decide who.
okay.
So
But
we
that was
all
only-
got that motion straight? Okay. Any public comment?
Or was it seconded?
It was seconded
Oh,
by,
you seconded.
Okay, so. Just so I
what-
understand. We will go ahead and pay them 1 hour for the August 31st negotiation session
For two
Session.
people,
for 2 people.
and acknowledging it's not
Acknowledging that.
it's not an established practice,
It's not an established practice.
and that future ones will
But
have to be negotiated.
Future negotiations, they can, if they want,
Could be
this in
considered
future
that.
negotiations.
Right.
So 1 hour, right?
Right.
Okay.
Elena?
Okay, you muted the most part of the meeting. I don't understand what's so private that had to be muted in negotiations with the union. And who's there from the union anyway? I didn't hear them announce themselves.
Nobody's here from the union. Yeah, and we had to talk about some other stuff that you don't know about. So that's why you don't know about it.
Well, the negotiations should be the union negotiations, and that should have been open.
No, there was a private personnel matters that were decided or discussed.
A personnel matter that's not on the agenda, right?
No, it pertains to the basis for the commission.
You're breaking up, Blaine.
Elaine, there were private personnel matters that the commission had to discuss to consider their motion. So that was closed.
Well, that should have been something different from the negotiations with the union. That shouldn't have been part of this.
This agenda is not negotiations with the union.
Well, that's what it said.
Negotiations discussion.
So that's what it says on the agenda. If you're negotiating with the union, it's an open meeting. Private, with these private conversations, first of all, it's decided at the meeting, and the person, his name or her name should be there, and it's discussed, do you want it open or closed?
No, the agenda says road crew union request for employee union reps to be paid during in-person negotiations. And during that conversation, there was private personnel matters that had to be discussed so the commission could make a decision on a fully informed decision.
I'm looking at it now, and it's hard to, like I said, 12 o'clock. Oh, I don't, this,
Okay, thanks.
well, this is a public meeting, right? It's for the public. I know you want to move on real quick. I give up. Never mind. I'll be filing something. to all of you.
Good.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
We'll see you later. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All right, I'll let them know.
Okay, just stay on schedule. We're off until 12:25. Okay, now it's time for potential rescinding of fire restrictions, discussion and decision. I think we should stay right where we're at for now. Still dry. It's,
I would just stay on one. I'll make a motion that we stay on stage one fire restrictions.
I second it.
So the current resolution says you'll stay at stage one until the Forest Service
Yeah,
rescinds,
or
and then
stay.
it would be concurrent, and we'll have to meet again. I'm looking at their website and trying to see if the Beaverhead is at one.
I think Beaverhead might went back to two because they had another fire down there in Wisdom, but I'm not sure, but I was thinking they went to two, but Missoula County's one, they have campfires open.
in Missoula is one. They're not totally gone.
We're sitting on one.
Okay.
Let's see here. Here is still August 26th one, and it's stage one for Beaverhead. Go on the website and they have the.
You just stay at one.
In public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we're in public comment. Give them 2 extra minutes. And there wasn't any correspondence. Minutes,
Good with them? I'll make a motion to accept the board minutes for August 31st, 2021.
I second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wait for public comment, I guess.
How long do you wait for public comment?
Till 12:35,
Till 12:45?
12:35, wasn't it? Yeah. Public comment, 12:30 to 12:35.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Wait,
Two
at
fi- sign-
12:35 for public comment.
Oh, did we sign those?
Yeah, I'll Becky sign my sign, I'll send to the Marina folks and that Jerry.
Oh, we signed those other things.
You take it off, Scott, or?
No, I'm at 12:35.
Oh, then we go, or you-
Oh.
this one? Lunch,
Oh,
good.
now I got it, oh, yeah.
JV football here today, they play Plains, I think.
Should they play, will be some better game, huh?
Yeah, they, JV played Thompson Falls, at a good game, they beat them 18-12.
What about those Grizz, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The defense is, no, and people are gonna have a tough time scoring against them.
You know, I've been a Husky fan all my life, but I was rooting for the Grizz right from the start. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, that was a great game.
Hell of an upset.
That was a great.
They keep saying, well, they had started out at receiver, watching, well, the Grizzlies All-American running back is out too, so it goes both ways.
Mhm.
So who
On the
won?
Rams, the Grizz
The
went
Grizz.
57, and Washington's ranked 20, FBS, Grizz are FCS.
So who was slated, who they think would win?
Oh, they were 25 point.
Oh, really? That
underdogs,
much?
Grizz were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they thought it was, they were just gonna,
Be a walk.
It's been a while since a rated team is like North Dakota State, a few years ago beat someone, Kansas State or something, but it's a rarity.
That was funny.
The refs were on Washington side.
Oh, yeah, I
They
know.
were calling holding on their offense.
I know, it was sick.
Oh.
Oh, and they still couldn't win.
So it was a ref job too.
Well, it's just not too consistent on the holding, at least, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was obvious.
Yeah, there's some people getting tackled and defense. Yeah, good coaching, good play. They're wanting to play. I mean, they only got 2 games in the spring. So
That's what I told Heidi, they were out coached.
yeah, the coach for Washington's on the hot seat, I can guarantee it.
Oh, yeah. He's making
Yeah.
excuses now, just to cover him.
The alumni want his head, everyone's donating money. That would have been a fun game to go there and watch.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it and then the COVID stuff. I've been to a lot of Husky games.
There's seats, look like there's seats available, but. And the Titans and the varsity are looking good. Beat Troy 84-6, and most of the game was with the freshmen. Troy didn't have any.
No, I watched a little bit and I laughed. It was pretty much it.
They did a little more tests for the conference to get improved. Practice, I guess, will have to be in the competition.
Is there a JV game tonight then? Or
Yeah, here,
up here? What time?
4:30. Plans. Billy's brother's coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul.
He's
Hmm.
loving
I'm
it
watching.
too.
I have to go get my stuff and come back.
He's a head coach.
Parsons were reliving their glory days the other night, sitting around the track, the sawmill, just talking
Oh,
about when we were playing.
So Jason Ostler's like the kind of the head coach, but Jerry Medish and
I don't know
Paul.
how you shut
And
them.
then, yeah. Jerry's kind of doing the defense, and Jason offense, but they're keeping basically the same type. And the practices are similar to last year, and they're all their scheme, so they're keeping
Well, they're fast,
consistent.
ain't they?
Yeah,
Fast.
yeah, strong.
So is this the Titans?
Yeah, football
So is there a JV Titans?
tonight.
Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
JV game?
Tonight, up here.
Oh, so I imagine, let's see, you're gonna maybe go to that
Practicing and that. Shit, practice.
after volleyball practice.
Yeah, those games are like, whatever it is, 10-minute quarter, long game.
No, I can see no more public comments, so
Make a motion to adjourn for the day.
let's second it.
Good job.
Good job.